I welcome you to the second day of our FDP program organized by Mohammed College and Cape Common Trust. Let's start with invocation. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا آتيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. It's customary to start our program with a welcome speech. I wish everyone present here a pleasant and cheerful evening. I'm truly happy to be among the company of many learned scholars on this good day. The practice of welcoming has been integral part of our culture and personal good nature. Hence, I would like to take a small moment to welcome this good and scholarly gathering to the conference organized by our institution and the Cape Common Trust. I would like to state you that I feel particularly honored to welcome our most beloved and versatile principal, Dr. R. Meghanathan, for honoring us with his presence. I welcome you, sir. I'm equally much delighted to have the presence of the most officious and highly efficient Vice Principal, Dr. O.S. Aisha, Madam. Welcome, ma'am. I should say we are very honored to have the presence of our IQSC coordinator and advisor, Dr. Saeed Ali, to this program. Welcome, sir. Next, I welcome all the good professors who have accepted our invitation to the chairpersons in the conference. I am most happy to welcome you all. I also take immense pleasure in welcoming our talented and ever supportive head of the department, Dr. M. Kalaina Diyal, for her tireless efforts and excellent supervision in organizing this event. I welcome you, madam. I extend my warm welcome to all the participants who have brought forth the intellect of the minds and cultural ideals in presenting us with the samples of their intelligence. I heartily welcome you all. Finally, I welcome all the good and efficient staffs of the English department whose relentless efforts has aided in conducting this memorable event. I welcome you all and wish all the participants of this faculty development program good luck. Thank you. Let's start our proceedings. And now I invite Professor Arul Selvam, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce the first speaker of today's. Armai Salim, sir, you can
Yes,
start.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I wish everyone in this vibrant and erudite gathering a beautiful evening. Dr. Syed Haider Ali Shah is Senior Assistant Professor as well as a Research Cell Coordinator at Business Studies Department. Dr. Haider Shah is engaged in many academic activities and professional training both nationally and internationally. He has been conducting trainings through different platforms like Leadership Development Center at Bahria University and Kalwas. He has an experience of more than 10 years in industry and academia. He has also published 29 research publications in multiple journals and mediums. Many conferences had echoed with the voice of Dr. Haider Shah when he presented papers in both national and various international conferences. Dr. Syed Haider Ali Shah has and still is playing vital roles as a teacher, researcher, host, inspirational speaker, life coach trainer, and provides consultancy in the areas of human resource practices, leadership, CSR practices, pro-environmental behavior, innovation, and creativity. Sir, I would like to say this, we are truly honored with your presence in this event. Thank you all, and I welcome you all for this great event. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Armai Salim, sir. Now I invite Dr. Haider Shah, sir, to take over the session, sir. Well,
Yeah.
Yes,
First
sir.
of all, I would like to thank for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present my experience and exposure with you people. And secondly, congratulations on gathering such a wonderful speakers and doing such a wonderful job. I would like to congratulate the whole team, the organizers, while I know it's very difficult to gather such eminent speakers and arranging so many things. And I really hats off to the whole team and the organizers for doing such a fantastic job. Thank you. And let me just share my slides with you. Just please give me a minute. Is it visible to everyone, please? Just to confirm.
No, sir.
Not yet, Professor.
No.
I have shared my screen. Is it visible?
No.
No, sir.
Not yet, sir.
Let me just do it again. Yes, is it visible now?
No,
Not yet,
sir.
Professor.
Yes,
But you can proceed. It takes some time usually.
Uh,
Can start. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It is
clear
now.
and bright as day.
Yes,
okay.
please.
So,
yes, sir.
so thank you once again for this wonderful opportunity. Today our topic is how to publish in high impact journals while considering the ethical perspective. Just let me just give you overview what they have already explained, but in a short way. I did my PhD in HR from University of Malaya, Malaysia. It's Malaysia top university. I have the now 32 publication in impact factor journals, Q1, Q2, Q3, the Scopus, and the locally recognized journals, reviewer of multiple reputed journals, and I conduct workshops national and international level. And then I also host live sessions on Kalwas. You can follow me through my Facebook, that is Dr. Haider Shah, and through YouTube channel as well, that is Kalwas. And we have conducted more than 141 live sessions with the world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, professionals, and businessmen, just to share their experiences and which will actually help you to learn and develop yourself. So our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. And this is how you can approach to the YouTube channel. So today workshop and this topic is all about the how to publish. So why do we publish? What is the importance of publication? What is the role of the editor and reviewer? And what is the step-by-step publishing guide? And then the copyrights, the questions, etc. So deciding whether to publish or not. Why to publish? That is the first question that comes to our mind. Why do we need to publish? We have certain reasons for that, and the first reason is to add knowledge to your field. Why you want to publish? You want to add new knowledge. You want to conduct the research in a particular area, and you have to come up with the new findings and solution. For that purpose, you need publication. Second is where you need to advance your career. Since we are in academia, you can proceed if you have a publication, and these publications should be in the reputed journals. So we have to publish in reputed journals, and that's why we refer to the JCR, Journal Citation Rate database files, nowadays called the Clarivate Analytics, which actually rate the different journals according to their impact factor, and they say you can publish over there in Q1 to Q4 range. And then to see your name in print, sometimes it is also our kind of motivation where we actually want to see our name printed with the world-renowned professors, scholars, researcher. And this is what we usually say, that a man is known by the company he keeps. So the same way we are talking about that, we want to see our name imprint with the people who are contributing to the world and to the society in a positive way. Then we say that, have I got something worth publishing? That's the most important thing. Why you want to publish? Because you have some certain worthy things to publish. Does the work add enough to the existing knowledge? Is it worthy in terms of contribution? Is it of interest to others in the field? So these are the things which we need. Now, we have the conference proceedings, book chapters, and journals where you can publish. And we have more than 26,000 journals from 1,100 publishers. So how to choose? That is the big challenge whenever we try to publish. From where we can have the list where we can publish and which journals are good, which journal is better than which journal. How would we get the information regarding that thing? So we have different strategy for that, and it depends on the topic, the journal coverage, is it peer reviewed, most appropriate leadership, and the prestige of the journal, length of the time from submission to publication, is high impact as well. So we have to understand all these things in order to have the publication in the good impact journals. So which criteria to select a journal? That's what the important question is. Once I have the more than 26,000 journals, how would I categorize that which journal is very good, which journal is moderately fine, and which journal is below average? So we have the very important thing, and we do it by using the impact factor to understand whether the journal is good or not. So how do we calculate the impact factor? This is the journal formula. Most of the time, the beginner researcher, they don't know what is the formula to calculate the impact factor. It is very simple. It is just the total number of citation for all the articles published in last 2 years were cited by index journal. That is divided by total number of articles published in last 2 years of the scholarly items. These comprise the articles, review, and proceedings papers published in the journal in the previous 2 weeks. So then you will get the number, and that number is actually reflecting the impact factor. Now, the journal selection, the basic selection question. The first is publishing is one of the necessary steps embedded in the scientific research process, and we should publish because to present new and original results or method. We have to contribute to the world in a positive way, and that's why we must come up with the new and original results in order to solve the problems that are at hand. Then you must to rationalize, refine, reinterpret the published result. There might be studies conducted in other contexts, for example, in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and we want to rationalize the same content in the other context, for example, in the Asian context, the Indian context, Pakistan context, maybe the Malaysia context, the South Asia, and other countries. So we want to refine. We want to refine the ideas. We want to reinterpret how does it happen in the US, and now if we replicate the study, whether the contextual difference make any difference or not. If yes, what kind of? That is worth publishing. Then to review the field or to summarize the particular subject, you want to conduct the review. You want to see what happened in the last decade, in the last 2 decades, what happened in the field, how did the field progress in the last 1 decade, 2 decade, mostly we call it longitudinal studies. So that is another important thing to publish. We should not publish, there are certain things. What are these? This is the work out of date. It means the outdated work which has already been investigated. We don't need to publish it. Then duplication of previously published work. Why do we go for the duplication of the work? Again, we have different reasons for it. Certain people, certain researchers, they require publication for promotion, for presenting. There are multiple reasons for that. So we should not publish the work which is already published. So we should be avoiding the duplication. And sometimes the incorrect or not acceptable conclusions. So we have to be very careful that whatever we are giving the conclusions, that should be acceptable to the field, to the society, and in a greater interest of the planet. So you need a good manuscript to present your contribution to the scientific community, and that's the sole purpose of publication. So what makes a good manuscript? That is important question. It contains a scientific message that is clear, useful, and exciting. It conveys the author's thoughts in a logical manner, such as that reader arrives at the same conclusion as the author. It means you are conveying in a proper manner. It is logically connected and aligned with the different paragraphs so that the reader could understand it very well, and is constructed in the format that best showcases the author's material and written in a style that remits the message clearly. And content is essential. That is the important point. Sometimes we have the contextual contribution, but we don't have the content contribution. It means that we have not modified the content. For example, the one concept of motivation in US may be different, and motivation in Pakistan or India or in Malaysia would be different depending upon the contextual factor. So how you are going to modify this content, this concept, this variable, and to have the content contribution. Then we say a good manuscript makes the reader, especially the reviewer and editor, grasp the scientific significance as easily as possible. It means connect back to the previous slide. It means precise and the clear one. Writing a good manuscript is not easy. Be prepared to work hard on it because it is an art and you have to develop it. And then they say value your own work. If you do not take care of it, why should the journal take care of it? That's why we call it science and arts. Why do we call it science? Because it has certain systematic, organized principles you have to follow, and then how good you are while applying that science would become an art. So there is no secret recipe for success, just a simple rule: dedication and hard work. There is no shortcut for that. And of course, the editors and reviewers are always busy scientists, and just like you, make things easy to save their time as well. So presentation is critical as well, that how do you present your idea through your words. And that's why we say that you must be very good at research terminologies, at research tone. If you are familiarized with the research tone, then you can present your manuscript in a very wonderful way. So now we come to decide on the type of the manuscript. We have the different type of manuscript. One is the full article, which we often call the journal article or original article. Then we have the letters, then we have the review papers, and then sometimes you need to ask your supervisor and colleagues for advice on manuscript type. Sometimes outsider can see things more clearly than you. So you have to decide which article you are trying to, manuscript you are trying to publish. The original articles, the letters, the review articles, or whatever, depending upon the requirement, whether you are doing for degree purpose or you are publishing for research purpose, for projects or whatever. So then you have to identify the right audience for your paper. Identify the sector of readership, the community which a paper is meant for. You have to identify interest of your audience, and is your paper for local or international interest. Once it is published, who will be your readers or the audience would be. So now to choose a target journal, you must consider the following things. Choose one right journal for your work. Do not gamble by scattering your manuscript to many journals. Only submit once. This is very tricky thing, that now we have the multiple databases connected. So please do not go for duplication or submitting to the 2 journal or 3 journals simultaneously, because nowadays it will be caught very easily. But what we are referring over here is that you have to choose a journal particularly based on your science. Again, what does science mean? The science is when you look upon its aim and scope, whether it matches or not, whether previously work has been published which is similar to you, and that is the thing which you need to consider. If the journal is relevant, their scope and aim is aligned with your interest area of research, only then submit it. Do not gamble it by just sending to any journal. And then they say articles in your own reference will likely lead you to the right journals. Even you just see in your own references that where the previous work have been published, that will actually guide you as well, that what are the right journals for that purpose. Then read recent publications and at least go through the abstracts in each candidate journal. Find out the hot topics, the accepted types of the articles. Ask yourself the following question: is the journal peer reviewed? Is it being peer reviewed? I will teach you and I will let you know what are the peer reviewed and what kind of peer review process are there. The blind review, the two blind, and the third one. And then who is the journal's audience? How long will it take to see your article in print? And is this a prestigious journal? It means impact factor, whether it is in the JCR list or not. Now, this is what I was referring, the traditional peer reviewing. First, we have the single blind review in which author doesn't know who reviewers are, but reviewers know who authors are and editor knows who authors are. So this is what we refer to. And now we have the second one, which is another very important, that is double blind review. What is double blind? In which authors, they don't know who reviewers are. Reviewers don't know who authors are. Only editor knows who authors are. And this is how they work. And then we have the triple blind review, in which the authors, they don't know who reviewers are. Reviewers don't know who authors are. And even editor, they don't know who authors are. So it means it's a very fair process of actually investigating your manuscript in a fair and transparent manner. So are you ready to publish? That's the wonderful part. Yes. So before the submission, what things you need to consider? Format your article according to author's guideline. Find an appealing title and catchy keywords. Prepare an impactful cover letter. So what is cover letter? That is the most important point. Sometimes we neglect the importance of the cover letter, but most of the editor-in-chief, they do consider the cover letter in order to see what you have written about your manuscript. Do you have your own understanding of your own article or not? What is good cover letter? What is bad cover letter? So now, convince the editor in cover letter why the paper fits the journal's scope, why readers would find it important, why the paper is important for the field, and what is the originality of your research work. And highlight novelty and impact in terms of you give the brief, largely non-technical summary, because your editor-in-chief may not be the technical person. So don't use the technical words or the analysis part words in order to describe the results or things, because editor-in-chief may not be the right person. So explain it in a simple words. Put the work in context. So do not describe journal things. Be particular and specific. Explain briefly the specific advances over previous research and potential application, because you have to say what is your novelty, which gap you are trying to fill, and what would be the potential application. It means how it would be applicable, or what are the implications for the industry, for the society, for the community, etc. And then other statement, it should include the submission type, the unique submission, agreement of all co-authors, potential conflict of interest, co-authors' contact details, history of the manuscript, independent reviewer suggestion as well. But sometimes the journal, they ask for the reviewers, independent reviewer suggestion, sometimes they don't. So it's up to you whether you want to include it or not. And address directly to the editor-in-chief, because editor-in-chief is going to accept or reject it. So what is the wrong cover letter, which you paste the abstract, you avoid typo and spelling errors, provide the correct journal's title and editor name. Sometimes we just copy and paste our previous cover letter to the new one, and we do not change the title of the paper and editor's name. That makes a very wrong impression on editor-in-chief. Sometimes we complain about the previous rejection. Why did it was rejected by the journal? So you need not to mention it because it is just like you are complaining about. And then over interpret your findings. Don't do it. Never to speak negatively regarding the other studies or other researchers. Be positive. Don't exceed 2 pages and use too technical terminologies. So you try to avoid all these things. And the general structure of an article is like this. Whenever we see the articles, it will be more or less the same as we have mentioned in the slides. So the first is what your titles, the author's name, affiliation, and everything. Then the abstract, the keyword, and then we go for the main text, the introduction, literature review, methodology or methods, the results, and the data analysis, the discussion and conclusion. And finally, we acknowledge certain funding or maybe the guidance by the different professors or the expert areas, and the references, and if we have the supplementary material for that purpose. So some special technical aspect of the manuscript is what is the length of the manuscript. These are the roughly idea, but it varies from journal to journal, and it varies from the authors to authors as well. But the roughly idea is the same. You go to abstract, it is 1 paragraph. Sometimes the journal they mention that you cannot exceed from 250 words. For introduction, we keep 1.5 pages to 2 pages. For literature review, again 1.5 to 2 pages. Methods could be 2 to 3 pages. Result and discussion. Sometimes we have long tables and description, so it may take 3 to 4 pages. The conclusion could be 1 page or maximum 2 pages. The figures could be 2 to 4. The table could be 1 to 6, and references 1 to 20 pages. And then we have the letters or short communication have stricter the limitation of the length. For example, 3,000 words with no more than 5 illustrations. You have to be very particular about the language. It should be very clear, objective, and you need to understand whenever you are writing for a scientific one, you have to be writing in a way that it is connected, it is understood in a nice way. So pay attention to the common problems as well. You must have the consistency among the different sentences. You must have a logic of expression. And how do we develop the logic of expression? Through literature review. We see the past work, how it was carried out, and what are the different research terminologies they used. For example, the unit of analysis. Now, the unit of analysis is the description of the researcher. They call the respondent as the unit of analysis. The respondent which you are going to analyze it. So these are the different expression you express your research terminologies or the research tone. The accuracy of the grammar, you must take care of it. Avoid the spelling mistakes and typo error. So now, the first thing which we talked about is the title. What is the paper title broadly about? That is the most important point. Your opportunity to attract the reader's attention. The title is the thing which is the gist, which will attract the reader's attention. And remember, readers are the potential author who will cite your article. Keep it informative and concise, and reviewer will check whether the title is specific and whether it reflects the content of the manuscript or not. And editor hate titles that make no sense or fail to represent the subject matter adequately. And it should be accurate for use in indexing system and database, because you know what happens is people search by the keywords. So your title should contain the keywords in order to be searched easily, because the journal, they want such title where their paper should appear on the databases as it is searched. So they want to be searched easily. So you have to be very careful about it. And now what you need to avoid is avoid the jargon and abbreviation if possible. And you have to go for the title that end with a question mark are seldom acceptable. Now we talk about the abstract, what things should be in your abstract. You tell the prospective reader what you did and where the important findings are and what were the important findings were. So this is the advertisement of your article. Make it interesting, easy to understood, without reading the whole article. So it means what we do as a researcher mostly, that we go to the Google Scholar app, any database, Scopus, the Web of Science. We see, we give the keywords over there, and then we see the title first. And if title is the same which we are looking for, then we go to the abstract first. And abstract is the snapshot of your work, of your manuscript. The most important point over here is that what you need to include in your abstract so that the person is compelled to read the whole research article or the manuscript. That's the wonderful opportunity you have. And you have to grab that opportunity that you should represent the abstract in a wonderful way, because that's why we refer it as advertisement. You must be accurate and specific and use words which reflect the precise meaning. And you must come up with a clear abstract which will strongly influence whether or not your work is further considered. And we have to consider 4 things in this abstract. What is first? Why? It means, why did you conduct this research? What means, what is there in your research? How means, how did you achieve your goals? And how did your method were aligned with achieving your goals, research goals and research objectives, the research questions, and then the implication for the industry, implication for the end user, what you are referring. That's the most important thing. So keep it brief as well as simple in order to have good impression. And now the keywords, it is label of your manuscript, it is the abbreviation firmly established in the field are eligible. So check out the author's guideline, how you are going to make the keywords. And now another important aspect of manuscript is, the first is your title, the abstract, now the introduction part. Sometimes our young researchers, particularly the students who are conducting research at their master's level, they don't know how to write the introduction or what to include into the introduction section. So your introduction section should contain what is the problem. It means the problem statement. Why you are conducting the research, that is the problem. You are going to solve that problem, but first in introduction, you have to highlight why you are conducting this research. Then you have to talk about the research objectives and research questions. And let me make it clear that in thesis, we have the separate heading of research questions and research objective, and we state 1, 2, 3, 4. But in a research article, in the manuscript, we don't have the title for the research objectives and research question. Very rarely you will find in some journals, but mostly they don't write the heading of research questions and objectives, but they state in a straight manner. So you can get the notion that it is the research question or it is the research objective by reading the statement, because the words themselves reflect that I'm the research objective or I'm the research question. For that, you must conduct an extensive literature review in order to understand what are the terminologies and what are the different terms used for the research question or objectives. And then you must reflect upon what research gaps you are trying to fill. I mean, what are the gaps in the literature, why this problem has occurred, what is the significance of it in terms of what things were left and what things were neglected, and your study is going to fill that gap. And it will actually translate into the research contribution and then you can say this is the first contribution, this is the second contribution, this is the third contribution. For example, your first contribution could be your contextual gap, that I am conducting this study in this particular Indian context, Indonesian context. Or you can also say that yes, I have the content contribution, that I have developed or modified the content. So that would be another one. The policy recommendation, there are so many things. And then align all the above points and make an argument. This is the important thing. Once you give the research gap, the different facts and figures, the references, then it will translate to your research contribution as well. And most importantly, through these justification and references, you are building an argument, and that's what the good researcher they do. So introduce the main specific publication on which your work is based, and cite a couple of original and important works, including recent research articles. Avoid too many references which are irrelevant to the work. Don't go for the misconception that the more references you have, the more chances it will be accepted. No, it is not like that. If you have a less references, but again, the quality references and it makes sense, it will be accepted. The next important point is the literature review. So what the literature review does is that it examines what happened and what has not been investigated. It develops a journal explanation for observed variation in behavior or phenomena. It identifies the potential relationship between concepts to identify a researchable hypothesis. It examines how other researchers have defined and measured key concepts. It identifies the data source that other researchers have used. It also develops the alternative research project. It tells how one research project is related to other researchers' work. And then we have different type of literature review. So the first one is a topical literature, which is relevant to the subject matter of the research. Second is your theoretical literature, which is relevant to the concepts and theoretical framework. Sorry. Okay, then we have the methodological literature, which is relevant to the strategies of the data collection and analysis. Then the policy literature, relevant to the implementation and effectiveness of intervention. And then we have the systematic. To what extent does A contribute to B? Then we have the historical literature, which is literature review focus on examining the research throughout a period of time. So what is the catch? Sorry. The catch is build an argument, not a library. Sometimes we just write. We don't understand what is the argument. So the catch of this whole discussion is the work. You have to build an argument which is based on certain reasoning, evaluation, and critical thinking. Then we have the methods. How was the problem studied? And you have to tell about it, that what was the different experiment, what were the different methods, and how it was aligned with your research question and research objective. And you can also use the different references, supplementary material to indicate previously published procedure in order to strengthen your argument that yes, we have adopted these methods just because it was previously used and it was found to be fine while investigating such and such phenomenon. And then reviewer will criticize the incomplete or incorrect description and may even recommend rejection. So you have to be very careful about the sample selection, the research design, the population, the sampling technique, and all these things. And then how you are going to present your data, that is the most important point as well. That because you sell your data analysis, because these are the empirical evidences for your manuscript. You come up with the different graphs, the charts, and it will represent your data in a wonderful way. Sometimes we have the wonderful figures, the tables, the charts, which actually portray how it was happening. And sometimes we show the data normality through the histogram, QQ plots, PP plots, the linearity plots. So we show all the data through these kind of things, and which actually explain the results. And then finally we come to the discussion part, which is what does the result say, and whether we have certain new things we found or not, and how you are going to connect with the introduction part, that whether my discussion agrees or disagree with the previous thing. So we say that the statement that go beyond what the results can support, it means that your discussion should be based on your findings or your results, which is actually your quantitative description. It means you are talking about the facts and figures, and that is actually representing that you are referring to your data, and then you are aligning it to your introduction, what you have said already, and what your data is saying, you are concluding from there. And please avoid the sudden introduction of new terms or ideas in your discussion. Don't go for imagination, don't go for your assumption. That is recommended, that please remain within the boundary of what you have already elaborated in the introduction, and now speak of all these things in terms of the findings and results. And this is how we talk about the conclusion, that we have demonstrated based on the findings, and however further studies are needed to this. This is how you actually use these terminology to describe the conclusion. And then finally we say that without clear conclusion, reviewer and readers will find it difficult to judge the work and whether or not it merits the publication in the journal. So remind yourself that do not repeat the abstract, just list of the experimental results, and you have to come up with the new things. So provide a clear scientific justification of your work and indicate possible application and extensions if appropriate. And then in the last but not the least, we have the references, and in references you must cite the work which is relevant to your one, and you have to make it in a better way, and you just follow the template of author's guideline. They would have mentioned the APA style, the Chicago or whatever, so you have to follow the reference style for that. And please avoid the excessive self-citation, because sometimes we are inclined to cite our own previous work. So it is not unethical, but still they say don't go for too many self-citation. And avoid the excessive citations of publication from the same region. Now the ethical issues in publishing. Nowadays it is the hot topic, which is also the hot topic of this conference theme. What are the ethical issues? We call it scientific misconduct. So fabrication is the first and foremost. What we do, the most of the researcher, and we openly say everywhere that please don't go for fabrication of the data or of the result. Why do the certain researchers they do it? Just because to fit to their research question and objective, they manipulate and they fabricate the data or the result. So it is highly not recommended. Please don't do it. And we call it the publication misconduct. And first thing we say is what? The plagiarism. Don't go for the plagiarism. Plagiarism is what when you take the idea of somebody else and label it as it's your own. So that is called the plagiarism. And plagiarism could be in two types. That, for example, you copy the whole paragraph, and sometimes you copy the complete idea. So stick to the originality, and we recommend that please have your own understanding, have your own literature review, find out the research gaps, and that will translate into the research contribution. Do not go for the plagiarism. And please do not duplicate submission as I mentioned earlier, that please do not submit one paper to the so many journals simultaneously. At the same time, duplication could be referred to the, if I see one paper, more or less I make the same paper. So it is also a kind of duplicate submission that you are copying in another article. And the duplicate publication is the same thing, that if you publish one paper in one journal, you try to publish the same, more or less same work in another journal. So that is what we refer to as duplication of your publication by yourself. That please do not repeat the same publication with more or less same content and you publish it somewhere else. No acknowledgement of prior research and researcher. Please acknowledge the previous researcher work and cite them, because citation is their reward and you have to do it. Otherwise, it is also considered as unethical. And no identification of all co-authors. Sometimes there are different complaints regarding that some co-authors are not included in the authors list. So it is also not ethical. The people who worked on the manuscript, so that they should be included in the authors list in the final manuscript as well. And please don't go for the duplication or plagiarism or the duplication publication, because this is what is now happening, that you will publish for the time being, but later on it would be investigated, it would be found out that yes, you have done the unethical thing. And what the journals are doing right now is they will retract your paper, but the big problem is that this retracted paper will always be there on their journal's website, which is actually bringing the bad name to the authors. So please avoid the plagiarism, avoid the unethical practices. Otherwise, your paper will be retracted, and once it is retracted, it will bring the disgrace. So please avoid it. So multiple submissions, as I mentioned earlier, multiple submissions save your time but waste the editor's time, and it is not recommended because it is unethical. And this is the journal publication process, right from submission to the publication. There is desk rejection, referring rejection, revision rejection. Sometimes we do major revision, still it is rejected, and sometimes it is accepted. And this is how we present it. See over here. Yeah, so the red mark is your editors, and on different places you see the dead ends, dead ends, dead ends. It means that it is the place where your work has been rejected, and finally once your paper is accepted, that is the happy moment for you. So I just shortly I will give you the editors, what the editors look in the manuscript. They look for the quality in terms of good science. As I explained earlier, what is good science? It means that well planned, well executed study, the good presentation, and then the significance and originality, whether your idea is novel or not, and whether it is consistent to the journal's scope and aim, and whether it demonstrated the broad interest to the readership or not, and will this paper be cited by the upcoming researchers? Is it so worthy or not? And well, the story is written well or not? That's the important part. How the readers, they understand your work. And then the author enthusiasm, what kind of passion the author have in this kind of area, this research. And now these are my 10 tips for you people. There could be multiple tips, but from my side, the first is read many papers and learn from both good and bad papers. And there is one popular slogan of my own, and I used to tell my PhD students, my master's students, my bachelor students, whenever they are conducting any research, that literature, the research starts with literature review and ends with literature review. So remember that thing. So whatever you are trying to learn it from the previous literature. And for that, you have to read the good paper and the bad paper, so that you have the comparison what are the good qualities and what are the bad qualities. And you must remain objective whatever work you are doing. Be objective, be specific on that. Good editors and reviewers will be objective about your work. If you do not write well in the English language, take lessons early and it will be invaluable later on. So it means if your writing skills are not good, particularly in English, so please improve your writing skills. Learn to live with rejection. We always receive kind of rejection and acceptance. So whenever we receive the rejection, obviously we are human. We will have the not good feeling, and sometimes it will upset you, but fine. Try to learn with the rejection and learn from it. And they say that men, they learn from their past mistakes in order to grow. And then you must consider and you must understand what makes a good science and what makes the good science writing, the objective of that. And start writing the paper the day you have the idea of what questions to pursue. Become a reviewer early in your career, because through this way you will come to know what are the different trends, the patterns, and how what is happening in the field. So you will be updated, and when you will be carrying out your research, you would know what are the different trends, what are the different patterns, and what are the latest variables or constructs which are being investigated, what are the new methodology, what are the new statistical analysis which you need to understand and you need to learn in order to have the good findings. And then you must decide early on where you are trying to publish your work. That is the another important part. Last but not the least, it always matters whether your work is quality or not. So you must choose the quality over quantity, because we say quality is the everything, not the quantity. If you have 2-3 in a high impact journals, that is wonderful. Instead of you have 10 publication in the normal journal, I would say below average journals. So final recommendation and closing thoughts. Research is a fun. For me, it's a fun. Take it as a fun and you will enjoy it. Publish or flourish. It's a game really. Sometimes you will win, sometimes you will lose. So take it in a normal way. Just cheer up. Writing up requires patience and it is worth the effort. You must develop and you must have that kind of understanding that in research world, we say patience is very important. If I say it is the prerequisite, it would not be wrong, because you have to be very patient while going through a long journey of this research work, thesis work, particularly the PhD work. So you need to be having that kind of patience. And then they say to be the best, cite the best. It means go for the good journals to learn from them. And nobody is perfect. Don't worry about the perfectionist. Even we sometimes face the rejection, and it's fine. We learn from the authors, the reviewers' recommendations, their suggestions, and we grow through this way. Everyone learns from this way. The process itself teaches you a lot. So that's all from my side. Dr. Haider Shah from Bahari University, Bahria Business School. Thank you so much for listening me. Over to you, please.
I welcome the audience to post their questions if they have any.
Sir, shall I say?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, Dr. Haidar. This is Vikas Mishra from India, Maharashtra. Sir, I have questions. I was preparing for my PhD thesis. I completed my work, and my supervisor asked me to publish 2 papers along with his name. And I unwittingly, you may say, I published more than two papers, but they were also part of my thesis.
Okay.
So I want to ask you whether it would come under plagiarism if we go for a test or something like that. I
Yeah.
mean, if we, I'm on the verge of submission of my thesis, but before that, we will have to, conduct a plagiarism test. So, will my previously published papers come under plagiarism?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a wonderful question, and I believe that a lot of researchers they will have this misconception and sometimes doubt in their mind that if they publish, would it be considered under the plagiarism? Because then at the end, when you will be submitting your thesis, you have to generate the plagiarism report, and if it is below the acceptable range, only then you will be allowed to submit your thesis. Very nice question. Thank you. Let me just tell you the international standard. Since I'm graduated from University of Malaya, it's Malaysia top university, #1 university, and its world ranking is 65. What is the practice in the University of Malaya is once you publish from your thesis, what they actually do is they try to extract that paper from your thesis, and they only run the software of plagiarism on the remaining work, not on the work which you have already published, and they label it as your published work. So, for example, I have published multiple papers from my thesis. What they did is actually they exclude, because in plagiarism software we have the option to exclude the sources. So they can exclude your published paper from that source, and it will not be counted as the plagiarized one, and then they will develop the report which is only based on the remaining thesis. So I don't think that will create trouble for you, because you can give the reference of University of Malaya. Even you can ask the University of Malaya library to share that policy with you, and they will share with you that we are following this practice, and which is very important, that they exclude the sources, and the source is you and your supervisor. Actually, your thesis is only belongs to you and your supervisor, and most importantly, you are the author of it, the principal author. So it is up to you, and it's your work. So it cannot be called as plagiarized. So don't worry about it, and I don't think it will create any trouble for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Your answer really gave me a big relief, because I asked the same question yesterday to some other,
Yeah, you are welcome.
invited scholar, but she gave me a different kind of answer. But your answer really gave me relief. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are welcome, and you can give the reference of the international standard, that it is not the our standard, it is the international practice. So I believe that they will give you this relief. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, and best of luck for your submission.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, please.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
So you have done a very wonderful presentation, and it's so useful for everyone presented here and for all the students. And from my side, I have a very small question. It might be useful for everyone. So can you clarify about the difference between a research problem and a hypothesis?
Sorry, I did not get your question. Can you repeat it, please?
So can you clarify the difference between a research problem? So we are finding a problem on research, and what is the difference between research problem and hypothesis?
Okay, very nice question, and thank you for liking the presentation. Actually, there is a format to the problem statement. Most of the time, the students, the researchers, they are not clear regarding the problem statement, and that's why they feel a bit of confused that how to write the problem statement. Actually, let me just share the format of the problem statement. Problem statement starts with your industry, which industry you have taken to investigate. That is the first thing you are going to talk about. That is the first one. The second is what are your dependent variable and how it is related to your industry. For example, my dependent variable is employee turnover intention. Employee, they quit the organization, that is the problem, and they leave in the banking sector. So now your industry is banking industry and your dependent variable is employee turnover intentions. Why the employee feel towards the leaving the organization or quitting the organization. Now what you do, first you talk about the industry, that the banking industry is the backbone of the country, it is serving like this and that, you give certain facts and figures. Then you relate it that if employees, for example, managerial level employees, if they quit the banking industry, it is going to have the indirect and direct cost, which is detrimental to the growth of the banking industry. Then you introduce your independent variable, which is the third actor. You see, it is just like a story. You are introducing different actors slowly and gradually, and you are making or you are building the argument. Third, you have to introduce your independent variable. Now, what are the different factors which actually trigger the employee turnover intention? You introduce that one. And then you, at the fourth place, you place the mediator or moderator. What are the role of the mediator and moderator in the relationship between the independent variable, for example, the motivation and employee turnover intention? Now you see these four things actually make your problem statement. You talked about the industry, where the problem lies. You talked about the problem, the employee turnover intention. You talk about the factor which is actually what practices is required. For example, motivation enhancing practices. So there is no motivation, that's why employees are quitting. Where they are quitting, they are in the banking industry. And last but not the least is the your moderating and mediating variable, which is actually strengthen or weaken the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. So problem statement is your one paragraph or two paragraph complete package of what your study is trying to investigate and what are the possible justification for it in order to build an argument. While in hypothesis, we just talk about to investigate one particular relationship. For example, motivation practices will reduce the turnover intentions. So that could be your hypothesis that motivation enhancing practices negatively affect on have the negative relationship on employee turnover intention. So hypothesis is one statement which will later on will be proved through statistical tests that whether it is accepted or rejected. But problem statement is a long paragraph along with the references, justification to why you are going to conduct this study and why does it make a rational to conduct this study. I hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, it's Aparna from India.
Okay,
Actually, whatever you have presented, it was very nice, sir. It's a very informative one and almost meant, 100% meant for the publication and what. So actually, my question is that sometimes what we are feeling is that what we are facing. That suppose, actually, sir, I am belonging to a medical field. So what happens in our field that I have prepared one research article and I have sent to the some Scopus Index journal. And some of the index journals, they are not replying in a very short time. So it may take 2 to 3 years like that. So in that case, what should I do, sir? Whether whether I should send this to other journal or I should contact the editor-in-chief or what should I do? Please suggest.
Yeah, please. Thank you very much for liking the presentation and for your kind words. And yes, indeed, sometimes it happens that the journal, they take a long time than the expected one. I myself have submitted one paper in 2019, and till now we are waiting for the acceptance, because we have done 2 rounds of revisions as well. But the thing is, it depends on you. The first thing is how much you need that paper in terms of that it is required for your publication, the career advancement, for promotion, or for your thesis, or for what purpose. That is the first thing. Second thing, in which stage is it? Have you done the revisions for it? If yes, the first revisions, the second revisions, or the third revision, at which stage the paper is stuck. If the paper is with the editorial board only, and it is not reviewed by the reviewer, and you have not done any corrections to it or revisions to it, then I would suggest that you write to the editor-in-chief that we have waited for a long period. So please either to take action on it, send to the reviewers and send us the revision, so we will do it, or we are going to withdraw the paper. Mostly what happens is if we have not conducted the revisions and paper is still with the editor, we write to the editor that please send it to the reviewer for review process, or to withdraw, so that we can submit the paper to the other journal. So first you just see what is the stage of your paper, and if you can afford it, withdraw from the journal and submit to the journal which has a quick review process. And if you think you have done a lot of revisions for it, then you can wait for it. But you must write to the editor-in-chief that we are waiting since long, so please speed up the review process, because we are looking forward for the publication. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it was a great confusion in mind while doing all these publications. So only I asked. Thank you, sir, for the clarifications.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, Doc, good afternoon from Ghana. My name is Ibrahim Haruna. I'm a medical practitioner from Ghana. Yes, I thank you for your meticulous presentation. It's very detailed, yeah, and I have learned a lot from you.
Thank you so much.
In terms of how to publish in high impact journals. I have some couple of questions to ask you.
Yeah.
In your biography, they read that you have published about 30 articles, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's a very good success, and congratulations. We are looking up to some of you to also do same in your foot. My first question is, why did you publish in those articles? Because in your I'm coming from this very particular angle. In your presentation, you were telling us about quality, not quantity. So if I have 10 articles and their quantity, and I have even 2 articles and their quality, I think the quality is what I will go for per your assessment, which is excellent. So why did you publish in those journals? In terms of one, is it in terms of the peer review process that you gave us? 2, is it in terms of the research appeal to the research community? 3, is it in terms of affiliation? 4, is it in terms of readability? That is why you publish in those journals. And then 5, is it in terms of online traffic? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Hurna, for your kind words and for your appreciation as well. I really loved it. And Hurna, you can follow me in my through my Facebook, or we have the Kalwas CALWASS Kalwas YouTube channel, where actually we have explained each and everything: the problem statement, the literature review, the systematic literature review, the methodology, the mixed methodology, the analysis, the conclusion, implication. On that channel, you will find everything. And the main purpose of that channel is to educate the people for free. we have invited multiple renowned professors from around the world, and they have shared their views regarding the editor perspective as well, that what they look for in the manuscript in terms of editor, and authors as well, the big researchers we had invited. And we have 141 live sessions with them. You can just watch them, you will learn a lot. Regarding your question to me, that I published more than 30 articles, as I mentioned in my presentation. Yes, dear Hurnav, what actually I did and what I'm doing right now. I'm working on diverse teams. If you look at my papers on Google Scholar, you will find it that I work with the multiple people. So it's not only me who is writing the paper. We are sometimes 4 authors, 5 authors, and we are working on team. Now the second question is, if I'm working on team, why I'm working on team? Why don't I publish alone? And dear Hurna Ibrahim, that we learn a lot through team working. I may not be expert in methodology, I may not be that expert in the analysis, but once we are doing it in a team, we learn from each other. We share the experiences, it reduces our time, and once we receive the revision from the journal, we have a wonderful time and we have a wonderful team, and we help each other, and that's why we published a lot. The thing is, once you, for example, you write one paper in 6 months, but if you work in team, you can write one paper in 1 month. So you can save 5 months. And most importantly, you learn a lot in a group or teamwork, because research is an art. And the way you talk about it, the way you discuss about it, the more you learn it. And this is what we refer in our PhD, that whenever you are in a problem, please go and discuss with your seniors, and then the seniors might give you a tip, might give you the guidance in order to help you. So I work with the international authors, and actually I learn a lot from them, and still I'm learning from them. And I believe that working on a diverse teams actually sharpen your expertise, and they give you the benefit. Once I was invited in one university, in one business school, and I was asked the same question, that you have published recently a very good article in Q1 journal, which is ranked as A-star ranked journals. And I was asked that, how did you manage to publish in such good articles in such a less time? So I just said, it's the teamwork, it's not the individual effort. So you must understand the importance of the teamwork. So, and secondly, dear Hona, let me tell you one thing very important as well from a career perspective, that one always learn and they strive for good to best. Initially, I was not that good researcher. I was at the beginner stage. So I was publishing in a journal where I could, for example, in the lower categories or in the Scopus, etc., the Q4 journals in Scopus even, because our research skills were not that polished. But with the passage of time, now our research skills are being enhanced, and it is still being sharpened. So we strive for quality. For example, if I start working on a research paper for an ordinary journal, I may write 30 articles in just 2 months because I know how to write it. But what I'm doing is I'm writing 1 or 2 articles with a quality for the impact factor journals, which are considered reputed journal. So now I have, this is the way you are trying to improve yourself, and you shift from lower journal to higher journal while sharpening your skills. So this is how actually we work, and we try to improve and develop ourselves. So I hope I answered it.
I have really I'm really thankful for your excellent answer.
Thank
My
you.
next question, yes, my next question is, yes, question 2. In your presentation, you explained to us the 3 types of peer review: single blind peer review, double blind peer review, and triple blind peer review.
Yes.
Per your experience, yes, and the angle that you come from and your area of research.
Yes.
Honestly, out of these 3 peer review process, which of them is more prudent and detailed if you are to advise any of us before we consider publishing in them, and why?
Okay. Thank you for a nice question. I believe it's very important one. Usually what I do or my team, what we do is we send it to the double blind review, to the triple blind review. The purpose is to remain fair and transparent, because in this case, since the reviewer remains the independent, they don't know who the authors are, they will not be influenced. And once they are not influenced, so they will come up with the genuine questions and genuine improvements. And dear Horna, remember one thing: never to take the reviewer's comment in negative way. It's not always that they want to criticize our work. They are just there to have the testing our knowledge. No, it's about improving your work. So be positive, and you just consider that the reviewers, they only there to improve your work, because tomorrow your work will be published and people would be learning from that. So take in that positive sense, and always think that reviewers, they want our work, our manuscript to be more polished, to be more refined, because they are the expert and they know very well. So I and my team, we always follow the journal which are double blind review and triple blind review, because we believe in the transparency, and we since we work on original articles, so we have the novelty, we have the contribution, so we need not to worry. Yes, we look for the constructive remarks and constructive revisions, and we do it happily, and we think that due to their comment, our work will be more polished, and it will be more liked, it will be more cited, it will be more readable. So this is why we do follow the double blind or triple blind. Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your answer. Well explained.
Thank
My
you, sir.
last question.
Please.
My last question is, per your assessments and experience in research, can you share with us at least top 10 high impact journals?
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I said per your assessments and experience in research,
Yes.
can you share with us at least top 10 from your experience, at least top 10 high impact journals that you can share with us off your head?
Yeah. There could be a lot of the wonderful journals, because since there are very so many journals available in the data list, and because if you go to the different database, you will find the different top 10 journals. But I would just randomly would take the name of certain journals where I published, and they are very reputed journals, and it is regarded as a very what you call it, reputable journal, the Q1 journal, A ranked journal in our area. For example, I published in recently, yesterday, my paper is published and it is now online in Frontiers in Psychology. Its impact factor is 4.2, and it is Q1 journal. Again, it is very interesting, and I would say it is a very worthy journal, because they write everything, their constructive remarks are wonderful, and they are always very good. Similarly, I published in the Corporate Social Responsibility and Environmental Management, which is again the Q1 journal, A-star journal, and its impact factor is around 8.7, 8.7, I believe. So it's very nice journal, and if you want to publish in that journal, again, it is very worthy enough, because sometimes what happens is that we are not sure of the journal authenticity, which is in the form of their whether the journal is good in terms of considered good or not. So that is another one. Another one is the current psychology with the impact factor of around 4, which is again very important journal, and the high impact journal. The International Journal of Human Resource Management is another good journal. You can consider for that. Another good journal is the European Journal of Innovation and Management. Again, very reputed journal. The Journal of Human Resources in Hospitality and Tourism Journal. That's another good journal. Another A-star ranked journal is the International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management. I believe the impact factor is around 7 or 8. That is another very good journal for that perspective. International Journal of Manpower is another good journal. Personnel Review is another very good journal. You can consider it for upcoming publication, which is, I believe, the good journal in that perspective. You can also try the Journal of Economics and Business Research and the Business Intelligence Journal. There are so many journals you can just try, and I believe it will elevate your career. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your explanation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow,
Yes,
that was a wonderful session, sir. That was so, really informative, because we
Sure.
people are also aspiring to become to present some papers in really reputed journals. That was really very much interesting, and I suppose that's the end of this session. And I don't think there'll be any more questions from the audience side. Will there be anything else from the audience side for Dr. Haider Ali?
I think.
Well, I think that's. Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much
Thank you so
for your
much,
support.
and I really appreciate the organizers, the organizing committee for organizing such a wonderful conference. And I would like to extend my gratitude towards the whole committee. Please keep it up. People like you who are really making a wonderful contribution back to the society by spreading the knowledge and strengthening the association among the different speakers. That's the wonderful part you are doing. And I always love to talk to the people and to remove their misconception and to help them in whatever way we could. So thank you for your invitation. It was a lovely experience with you all. Best of luck for upcoming submissions, the thesis, the publication, the papers. And if you want to reach me, you can reach me through my Facebook and my email addresses. So thank you once again, and pay my regards to all. Stay blessed, and bye-bye from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you so much.